Hmm. That ended a lot earlier than it should have. Um, and people were saying it was very glitchy. I apologize for that. That was supposed to run 11 minutes. And so, yeah. Buenos dias, everybody. This is the yesterday realizing it was Cinco de Mayo and having planned something totally different. Um, Today I decided to show you films about Mexico. And that one didn't start off so great. But we do have other films for you. And this next film is People of Mexico from Encyclopedia Britannica. Features our friend, a very good friend, the narrator. Enjoy.
Stately monuments to the advanced nature of its ancient civilization. This is the towering Pyramid of the Sun, one of the world's largest pyramids. Quetzalcoatl, the plumed serpent, was the great Toltec teacher. Under Quetzalcoatl and his subordinates, these civilizations were far advanced in art, surgery, and astronomy. The 12-foot calendar stone of the Aztecs was as accurate as calendars of today. Across this ancient culture, the Spaniards, bearing the cross, but more effectively the cannon, forced their way in the 16th century, a conquest symbolized by this Spanish-type building erected on a ruined pyramid. Today, the paved roads of the Spanish invaders remain, and bridges centuries old but usable. Aqueducts for carrying the precious water. Today, 3 types make up Mexico's population. This man is of pure Spanish ancestry. For 300 years, the Spanish ruled Mexico. This man is a mestizo, a mixture of Spanish and native Indian blood. The 3rd division of the population is of pure Indian stock. Of central importance in Mexico's story is the hacienda, or large land holding, into which the country was divided after the Spanish conquest. The landlords lived on one side, and on another side of the huge hacienda enclosure lived the Indian natives and mestizos who worked the lands for a share of the crop. In the big house lived the owner and his family. Close by was the chapel, where religious services were held. Daily, the workers labored in the broad fields, vast tracts which often included thousands of acres. However, in 1917, in the Chamber of Deputies, Mexico began to return some of the land to the farming people. Many of the huge holdings were divided. The Indian and the mestizo, who had long toiled for others, now had their own land to till and to receive from it the full reward of their labors. The huge plantations of the maguey plant, from which the popular native drink pulque is made, are reminiscent of the old hacienda system. Here we see one of a large number of workers approaching with his donkey to gather sap from the plants. In the center of the huge cactus-like arms of the maguey plant, the sap oozes out into a basin. The long gourd with one end open and a hole in the other provides an implement by which the worker draws up the sap. When the supply has been taken from the plant, it is carried over and emptied into one of the casks strapped to the back of the donkey. Many workers, even today, are employed on these large land holdings. The pride in possession of their own lands, however, is reflected in the home life of the workers. This mestizo housewife is drawing water for the evening meal. The typical adobe house construction is in evidence. A bed mat of coarsely woven grass stands by the door. While grandmother watches over baby, she does fine hand needlework. She uses the sewing machine only for coarser work, on clothing, for example. The evening meal will be much like others. Cakes or tortillas from cornmeal, ground as needed, will form a principal part. The Mexican housewife may spend as much as 6 hours daily grinding meal from corn on the metate, or grinding stone, the most important article of furniture in every rural household. Now, as the first wet corn meal is being ground to the proper consistency, the cooking fire is lighted. Baby's swinging cradle keeps him amused and off the earthen floor. Each handful of corn grains is first ground into coarse meal and finer on each regrinding. This household skill is a required part of the education of the Mexican girl, even as the tortilla or flat corn cake is a leading part of the diet of the typical Mexican family. Aside from the grinding stone and stove, the living and dining room presents few articles of furniture. The men folks spend their days in the open air working, so plain fare and simple furniture fit well into their scheme of life. Tortillas and beans called frijoles are nourishing and inexpensive. The thin tortilla can be folded easily about the frijoles, or a piece of it can be used as a spoon with which the beans may be scooped up. Baby can wait for his supper until his elders have finished. The typical day in the Mexican working man's home ends with the familiar strum of guitar and the melodious folk song.
Estrellita marinera, dame razón de mi amor, tú que iluminas el silencio de la noche. Dicen que mi amor se va para las fronteras del norte. Dime si es cierto para ponerme a llorar. Tu nombre traigo en el corazón grabado y tu recuerdo en el pecho aprisionado. Pero chinita del alma me trae rete entusiasmado, que hasta en el sueño parece que te oigo hablar.
Feast days, or fiestas, come regularly and often to the people of Mexico. Decoration of the village church indicates this celebration may be partly in honor of some local saint. The general feeling, however, is one of joyous abandon with dancing and festival gaiety. This official is setting off a handmade skyrocket as a signal for the beginning of festivities. There apparently is no great hurry, however, for this man is leisurely finishing the decoration of his oxen. A donkey's headdress reflects the spirit of festivity, which again is seen in the faces of the riders. And now from all parts of the village, residents and visitors begin to throng toward the central public square. Fiesta costumes are evident everywhere among the marchers, in their dresses, hats, and other ornaments. Visitors from neighboring towns have swelled the village population from hundreds into thousands. Of the many fiesta dances, the dance of the conquest is most reminiscent of Mexico's rich history. The strongest men dress as native Indians. The children of the village dress as Spaniards. Thus, in gay fiesta time, in their folk dances, the people of Mexico relive the stirring events in their history.
So I knew that one was going to end early. Yeah. So here's something I learned. I, like probably most Americans, assumed that Cinco de Mayo was Mexican Independence Day. No, that is September 16th. This is a celebration of a victory against a foreign army. And I would have thought, oh, the foreign army is Spain. Nope, France. So this was to commemorate the fact that a small Mexican army was able to take on a much bigger French army. Congratulations. Here's some more music. Enjoy.
Men on the march. The world over, men are on the march. And now in Mexico, too, proudly taking her place among the nations at war with the Axis. Looking on is President Manuel Avila Camacho, who called on his countrymen to preserve the honor of the fatherland. Officers from the United States this day in Mexico City salute the Mexican flag with a right goodwill. Yes, the people of Mexico, 19.5 million strong, have joined the ranks of the United Nations. Fine roads, part of the great Pan-American system. Important as they are to commerce, to defense, the great thing is that these roads, well paved, well policed, are taking thousands of average United States folks into the heart of a neighboring country. Now that good roads run way down south of the border, we Americans are more numerous, more truly representative of the United States, and down the road a bit is this. It's the town of Tasco, where modern Mexico keeps the look of old-time Mexico. Tasco was founded by Borda, the Frenchman who 2 centuries ago made himself rich from Tasco silver. Borda is dead, but the silver is still going strong. Mexico, all by herself, gives the world 1/3 of all its silver. And one mine has been worked since before the days of Montezuma, over 400 years ago. Many and many are the hands that have been busy working on silver in Tasco all through the years. They say the stars are brighter in Tasco than in most places. Anyway, Tasco silver is bright and full of a sort of south-of-the-border glamour. Care for statistics? No? Well, here they are anyway. Mexico has 13 big commercial air bases beside this one at Mexico City. There are 23 air routes, 3 of them coming down from the United States. You can fly here in one day from Los Angeles. About 3 million miles are flown each year by about 70,000 passengers. Not all of them as attractive as Mapi Cortez, from Puerto Rico, star of Mexican movies and highly popular singer. Where Mapi works her entertaining spell, Mexico City's swankiest hotel. Let's go in and listen to her.
And now, Mapi Cortez.
¿Qué vas a cantar?
Nada. No quiero que me miren. No quiero que me digan, que me toquen, que me hablen, que me inviten a cantar.
Pero Mapi sí.
Nada. Yo no me llamo Mapi. Así es que ya lo saben que mi nombre ya no existe ni por tierra ni por mar.
Pero óigame si es que...
Nada. Yo estoy escarmentada. La vida de casada ya me choca, ya me cansa, no la puedo soportar.
¿Pero qué?
Nada. Escuchen lo que digo. Mañana tempranito se lo digo a Fernandito que me quiero guiar. Ay, carambambita. Ay, carambamba. Esta rumba ya me trae loquita. Esta rumba ya me trae cansada. Ay, carambambita. Ay, carambamba. Esta rumba ya me trae loquita. Esta rumba ya me trae cansada. Carambambita, ay carambamba. Esta rumba ya me trae loquita, esta rumba ya me trae cansada. Esta rumba ya me trae loquita, esta rumba ya me trae cansada, bien cansada.
Cantinflas. Do you know him? If not, it's high time you did. Let's hope he's in.
Ahí está Cantinflas.
Yes, there he is. The #1 man in Mexico's popular theater and also a film star of the first magnitude. What Chaplin is to us, Cantinflas is to Mexico. That thing around his shoulders, that voluminous gabardine, that's his coat. What he calls his coat, anyhow. Cantinflas was a law student before the stage captured him. As a lawyer, you would have had to talk sense once in a while. As it is, he's well paid for never making any sense at all. His Mexican double talk, which he pours out in a mad, relentless dribble, is one of the funniest things in the world. And by the way, on his days off, he's an amateur bullfighter. His right name is Mario Moreno, but to all Mexicans, he's just Cantinflas, and the maddest rascal going. On another part of the studio lot, the trio Mixteco. General Maximino Avila Camacho, the president's brother, member of the cabinet, powerful and exuberant figure in the national life, and the most colorful of the charros. And who are the charros? Why, the Plaza de los Charros, which is the pride of many a Mexican city and town? The answer reaches back to the days of the Spanish conquest, when horses were cherished and horsemanship was a cult. and on to the later days of the great ranches, when the owner prided himself on being as good a horseman as any of his hands. And then on down to today, when the charros are splendidly mounted, magnificently costumed members of a society in which the horse is still cherished as the central fact in a richly romantic tradition. So their tests of riding skill and this sport with the bulls, which is called la coleada, are more than mere stunts. They're a sort of ritual. And now a page from history. Pageantry which reconstructs the sacrificial rites of those ancient dwellers in Mexico, the Aztecs. The youth who is to be sacrificed at high noon to the sun god, the handsomest of the war prisoners. The victim performs his ceremonial dance, which is one of exaltation, for he is about to go to his death gladly. It was high honor to be chosen messenger of the sun. Priests, princes, and warriors share in the procession and oblations. This opulent pageant, staged for the delegates of the Inter-American Travel Congress, is as careful a reenactment of the ancient ceremonies as could be achieved. The Temple of the Sun is impressively reproduced, and all the details of the festival are as historically accurate as research could make them. This is undoubtedly how the ancient inhabitants of Mexico looked and acted on one of their holiest festive days. And now the messenger of the sun has had his moment of glory, has delivered the staff and shield which the sun god will need in his never-ending journey through the heavens, and has had the supreme honor of offering up his life. The voladores, suspended from the high mast before the temple, launch themselves into space. Youths and maidens dance, and everyone is happy, including the handsome and so recently alive messenger of the sun. The festival comes to an end. Thus does Mexico of today keep alive the memory of her ancient past.
So that film was made to educate us dumb Americans about the culture of Mexico, and to say that, hey, we're friends, we're neighbors, we're working together against the Axis of, and yeah, we should be buds, which I think is a great sentiment. But there you go. Doesn't matter what I think. All right, here's another film, Encyclopedia Britannica, of course. The title is clipped, but this is about Mexican children. Enjoy.
On her back, and she carried. It's two people, two Mexican children. The boy is Mateo. His sister is Aurora. Their chickens are still scratching for breakfast. Breakfast for the piggies, too. And for Big Donkey and Little Donkey. The morning air is cool, so Mateo puts on this blanket called a yoronguita, even before his straw sombrero. Mateo's special pet, a chipmunk. Every morning before school, Aurora braids her hair. And Mateo helps Big Brother take the cows and sheep and goats to eat grass. Mateo calls his pet goat his dear. A final morning duty for Aurora. While Mateo helps, Father binds a yoke on the oxen. They will work in the fields while Mateo is in school. The bed cover must go out in the warm sunshine and air. Now, a few minutes fun with baby sister and the parrot. Mateo is going to get into the game. A free ride on the small donkey. At last, time for school, and goodbye to little Chipmunk. Goodbye to Mother, too.
Adiós, mamá, ya nos vamos a la escuela.
Down the narrow street, up toward the old church built long ago by the Spaniards, and into the schoolyard which the boys are sweeping. At last, the schoolhouse, and the children in class with their teacher.
Gato, gato, burro, burro, árbol, árbol, flor.
It is Aurora's turn. Gallina. That means hen. Olla is jar. Playtime for the girls. A different kind of dance for the boys. These boys are playing with boleros, trying to catch the spools with the sticks. After school, back toward home, past the old church quickly, for Mother is cooking tortillas, large flat corn cakes, for their lunch.
Buenas tardes, mamá.
¿Qué tal les fue en la escuela?
Bien. Bien, mamá.
¿Estudiaron mucho?
Sí, estudiamos bastante.
Bueno.
Mother says they will take lunch to Father. And Mateo puts an odd wooden saddle on the donkey. Father is far out across the fields. With his oxen, he has been plowing the field all morning long. What a nice spot for lunch.
Vente a comer.
Come to eat. Mateo's big brother hears him and leaves his flock. Mateo's father, too, hears. The oxen will stand still if this stick is in front of them.
¿Trabajaste mucho hoy?
Sí, trabajé algo.
Aurora's tortilla looks like a pancake, but it makes a good scoop for her beans.
¿Cómo hace calor? En este tiempo da mucha sed.
Cool water is good on a hot day, Father says. Now it is a holiday. The family is getting ready to go to a fiesta, a celebration, in a nearby town. It is a long way across the fields to the village. First, they come to the marketplace. What a gay sight! A man selling tamales, hats for sale, all kinds of jars, toys, the kind Mateo likes.
A los juguetes, niñito, mire, qué bonitos, a ver qué lleva.
¿Cuánto por ese?
Ah, ese vale 75 centavos.
Me lo dejan tu son.
Está bueno, llévelo.
¿Y por este por cuánto?
Ah, ese vale $1.
Me lo dejan 75.
Está bien.
Now Aurora's turn.
¿Cuánto?
Ah, ese vale 25 centavos, qué bonito cochinito.
Me lo dejan 20.
Bueno, niñito, está bien, llévelo.
There will be a dance. The music is already starting. It is to be an Aztec dance, and Mateo will be one of the dancers, with costumes just like those used. Brother Mateo dances well, Aurora thinks. But now, Aurora and Mateo must leave the fiesta. They have a long way to go home. So they leave with the music of the fiesta still floating to them softly through the twilight.
So reading in the comments, you're telling me that voice of God narrator James Brill did not pronounce some of the Mexican terms correctly, and he also did a poor job of translating Spanish. Yeah, say that's not so, but no, I can believe it. We love James Brill, but he's not. He's not always with it. And maybe there was somebody there coaching him on how to pronounce things, but it's a pretty good chance that he was winging it. He's like, looked at the script, he said, okay, I got it. And then they put him in that closet where they record him, that echoey closet. All right, here's another film. This is, because Cinco de Mayo was yesterday, so we have 5 films, plus one that we're going to show about Mexico, because we have them, and they are a neighbor. So here's Mexico, the land and the people.
Welcome to my home. I'm Senor Rafael Gorribar de Amezcua. Won't you come in? I have lived in this house and in these gardens for all of my life. My family came from Spain to live in Mexico about 300 years ago. We have been here a long time. Still, it is not an easy country to understand, this Mexico. Let's go inside. My great-grandfather, Don Francisco Gorribar, built this house. He owned land and mines. In Mexico, there are very few houses like this one because there were not many great-grandfathers like Don Francisco. I think I'm getting old now. I like to sit here with my pictures and my books. That one is by a friend of mine, one of the most famous artists of Mexico. It gives me much pleasure to look at. I like to sit here in this room and read our history and have around me the things of the past. For in Mexico, the past is so much a part of the present. To understand Mexico even a little, you must know something about the beginning, about the history, about the people who live here now on this land, which is like no other in the world. How do I tell you about this country of a million faces, this Mexico of so many mountains, of sun-baked deserts and cool forests, of sweltering swamps and breezy, rocky seacoasts? We say in Spanish, aquí hay un poco de todo. Here there is a little of everything which nature has to offer. On the map, this is how Mexico is. Bounded by the United States, the Pacific Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, and by Guatemala and British Honduras. A country about 1/4 the size of the United States. Two mountain ranges, the Sierra Madre Oriental and the Sierra Madre Occidental, form the walls of the high central plateau, which covers about 1/3 of the country. Most of the people live on the central plateau, and most of the cities are here. The high mountains meet in the center, near Mexico City, and then drop down to the isthmus of Tehuantepec. The peninsula of Yucatan is low and flat, as is also the peninsula of Baja California, which is mostly desert. The mountains make transportation and communication very difficult, and many parts of the Republic are cut off from the rest of the country. In the north, the land is mostly desert, parched and water-hungry. For this reason, not many people live here. The lack of rainfall in most of Mexico makes farming very difficult or impossible. Even on the central plateau, which is the chief agricultural region, there is barely enough rain. Along the narrow tropical lowlands by the sea, there is an overabundance of rain. It's very warm here throughout the year. The temperature becomes cooler as the land rises. At Mexico City, which is nearly 8,000 feet above sea level, the average temperature in the winter is about 54 degrees, and in the summer, a cool 62. There are many rivers which flow down from the mountains, but almost none are good for transportation. Many have water in them only during the rainy season, which is usually in the summer. Now I must tell you about the people and the great problems made for them by this land they live on. Long before Columbus discovered America and Cortez conquered Mexico for Spain, a rich Indian civilization was here. They made figures like these. They were craftsmen and artists and great builders, building enormous pyramids to their gods, marvels of engineering knowledge and skill. The ruins of their cities are still here, splendid cities that thrived before Europe even knew that there was a new world. We think that about 20 million Indians were living in Mexico when the Spanish conquerors came in the year 1521. Today, maybe 2 million Tzotzils, Aztecs, Zapotecs, Chamulas, and other tribes live in their mountain villages. They still speak their own languages, and many do not even know Spanish, the language of Mexico. The Indian and the Spanish conquerors married, and soon a new race began to grow, the mestizo. Most of the 35 million people of Mexico now are of this mixed Spanish and Indian blood, called just Mexicans. Many towns stand today almost exactly as they were during the nearly 400 years of Spanish rule. Towns like San Miguel Allende, Tasco, Guanajuato, with their Spanish architecture. But Spain brought much more than architecture to Mexico. She brought the feudal Spain of the 16th century, the Spain of a few lords and many serfs. She brought the Catholic religion, the religion of Mexico today. She forced the Indians to destroy their old gods in favor of a new one, the God of Christianity, whom they accepted very quickly. From the earth of Mexico, immense amounts of silver and gold flowed back to Spain. Besides mineral wealth, the valuable hides and cheap labor of the people enriched not but families like mine as well. For nearly 400 years, Mexico lay still under the Spanish yoke. She did not grow. She did not change. Under a feudal system of life, long outmoded in other countries. The Spanish did not wish to change, and the Indian did not know how to. Now, more than 150 years since Mexico gained her independence from Spain, the country is still poor. Over 60% of the people work on the land, raising cattle, plowing the earth in the same primitive way they have plowed it for hundreds of years. But the land is not really good land for farming. There is not enough rain, or there is too much. There are too many mountains and deserts which will produce nothing, and life is very hard. On the 30% of the land which is even a little good for agriculture, the people harvest wheat. The maguey plant produces a liquid used to make different drinks. Along the tropical seacoast, there are coconuts, and the people fish. Sugarcane is used as the people of the village. We call this the ejido or ejido system. A great farmland is operated under this system. Corn is the most important food for the people of Mexico. It covers more acreage than all of the other crops combined. Wherever the land will grow anything, there is corn, which in Mexico is called maíz. Like most campesinos or farmers, grows corn on his land, by his house. He works on the ejido, or village land. Señora Alvarez, which are the most Mexicans. The corn is first soaked in water. Then it is ground between stones until it is like dough. All over Mexico, you can hear the patting, patting sound of tortillas being made and smell them toasting over the fire. For the campesino and his family, there are no luxuries, barely the necessities. There is only hard work and the struggle to have enough food to keep alive. But there is another Mexico, of fine homes and luxury, and people who have more than enough. Once there were only the very rich and the very poor, but now the people of the cities who work in shops, offices, and factories make up the rapidly growing middle class, which a country must have if it is to develop. Mexico City is totally unlike the rest of the country. 150 years ago, it was the largest city in the whole Western Hemisphere. Today, with a population of close to 4 million people, it's one of the world's great capitals and centers of commerce. A city of well-tended parks, of fine theaters and art. A city with the oldest university in North America, housed in some of the world's most modern buildings. For over 3 centuries, the University of Mexico has been a center of culture and learning. Cities like Guadalajara and others are growing as people move from the country. 20 years ago, only a small percentage of the people lived in urban centers. Now almost half are part of the city's rising middle class. Mexico knows it must industrialize quickly if it is to provide a better life for more of the people. New factories are being built all the time as the country produces more and more of the things a modern society needs. From the port city of Veracruz on the Gulf of Mexico, we ship out sugar and cotton to other countries. And we get back the machinery with which to build our industry and make at home the manufactured goods which now must be imported. There are great natural resources here. Mexico is one of the richest mineral countries in the world, and mining is the most highly developed and well-organized national industry. Mexico leads the world in the production of silver and is ninth in the production of gold. There are great reserves of base metals, lead, zinc, and copper, as well as iron. There is plenty of oil to pump from the ground. Water also can be taken from underground to irrigate the dry lands and make them bloom with rice and fruit. Gradually, agricultural methods are changing. Under irrigation, lands once parched and barren can be made to yield abundantly. With the growing use of modern farm machinery and methods, it is possible now to produce much more food with far less labor. There are more schools in the villages, where before there were none. And the problem of teaching all of the people of a nation to read and write is slowly being solved. Roads are being cut through the mountains to communities once isolated from the world for want of a way to reach them. Modern buses carry people who not long ago had only burros to ride. With the construction of the railways in the 1880s, the industrialization of Mexico began, slowly gaining momentum until today Mexico is growing industrially at a more rapid rate than any other country of the Americas. Through the airport at Mexico City, thousands of tourists come to enjoy this most beautiful country, with its days filled with warmth and sunshine. Acapulco on the Pacific coast has become one of the most famous resorts in the world. Tourism is one of the chief industries and very important because Mexico needs the money from abroad which the visitors bring in. There are many Mexicos. At one extreme, there is this Acapulco with its beauty and luxury. At the other, there is the Mexico in which life has changed little in hundreds of years. The Mexico of sparse existence for over half the people. This Mexico is our problem. But as you have seen, we are working to solve it. I hope that in my small way, I've helped you understand Mexico. Won't you come back?
Well, at least it wasn't James Brill. All right, one last film. Somebody wanted a cartoon, so here's a cartoon. Enjoy.
Boss, the telephone. It's the great Tovarich.
Cover up, Leo, speak.
The flamenco is in disgrace.
What, so soon?
Change it, fool! Do you hear me? The tango's out of order now. Change it! Change it! No more samba! Change the music, you idiot!
that was some fine animated propaganda made for Mexican eyes to counter any potential communist sympathies. I mean, it wasn't that obvious. Musically, it was beautiful. It was really amazing. I like that. The message, I don't know. It was funny seeing a chicken and a donkey doing the flamenco. That was funny. Communism, I don't know. All right. Thanks for tuning in today. Very much appreciate you watching, your eyeballs. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like, a subscribe. Those are great ways to support us. You can also support us financially by using the Super Thanks button, or go to ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks. Those are ways to also support us. We've just added a store onto YouTube. There was a store there before that, for some reason, at no point did I get any sales. But this allows you to purchase various items like coffee cups, glasses, t-shirts with AV Geeks logos on them. Even socks. There's some socks. I'm excited. I ordered some socks because I want to see how that all plays out. But yeah, there's somewhere in the AV Geeks channel sphere, you'll see a store tab, and you can click on that and buy stuff. I don't make it. I don't ship it. It's all third-party stuff. But anyways, thanks for tuning in today. We very much appreciate you watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.